And there you go.
So that red light.
It's that easy. You push one button.
Wow.
I know, right? I'm excited. So you approve?
Do I approve?
I think you're excited. I think you're excited. Too.
This is way better. The student has become the master.
The studio has become
the master. Yes.
The master of disaster. Yes. This is going to be everybody's studio. Just don't bring no shady people up in my crib.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I told him, and I said, yes, and you can bring the baby too.
Oh, the baby. Have you seen the baby yet?
Sure did. I was actually there yesterday for just a little bit of yoga.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as we were trying to do yoga, well, we were in the baby space.
Okay.
So as we were trying to do yoga, she has a whole space.
Okay.
As we were trying to do yoga, she was going right under us, crawling.
Wow, she's just in the moment.
She is. Oh my gosh, she's adorable.
Yeah.
She's beautiful.
Yeah.
She's a beautiful baby and just cute and friendly. At least she was with me. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw, was this the end of last year now where I saw the baby? Took pictures. Frances was really jealous. She's like, don't tell me I saw the baby. And yeah, just like her mom. Just happy to be in the world.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. I said, the one thing I said too, and I think I might have written this in when I gave him, at the shower, the gift, it's like,
yeah,
this baby is going to be filled with just joy, like a life full of joy, full of learning, because she has two people that love to learn.
Yep.
And travel and experiences.
Yep.
And it's never ending. And she's going to start it now before she turns 1. Well, actually, I said they're going to Spain. They're like, we're not celebrating the baby's, birthday. This is a celebration. We're all going to go to Europe.
Wow.
Yeah. And I said, that is smart, because I've seen in my family how many people kind of just lavish, like birthday parties for a 1, a 2, or 3-year-old.
They don't remember that.
They will never remember it.
Disney. Let's go to Disney World. Gotta go to Disney World with their 1. My son doesn't remember any of that.
I have seen friends throw parties when they can't even afford them.
Wow.
Hoping that they'll get something and gifts enough. And I'm like, no, girl. Everybody's struggling.
Yeah. Everybody,
Nobody's going to give you cash. They're going to go buy, the little Whimsy that's like maybe $5 to give you, or $10, or they're not going to give you $20, $25, and it's not that kind of world we live in anymore.
Nope.
Even so,
or a lot of gift card stuff now, which isn't bad for depending on the person. If like, oh, this person loves, Applebee's or Cheesecake Factory, great. I know they're a food lover, great. Here, have a date night with whoever.
Yes.
They're great. But if we just give gift cards just for gift cards' sake, then it's like, oh, did you really care? Or did you really even think or know the person,
Right. No, I do like gift cards, and I think just like you, right? I don't like giving those Visa cards because they have an additional charge to it.
And there's stipulations to it. And some places don't, like if you buy it online, they see that as like a bad thing, or they won't take it sometimes, depending.
Yes. So I don't like those, but now with everything that's been going on, right, with the cards.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're still. I guess because they're not behind the counters, how they're stealing them and then bringing them back.
Yes, I saw that.
Serial numbers out, and then they put their own.
The Amazon cards, because that's one. See, that's one card that feels like it's a one size fits all. It's like who doesn't use Amazon.
You would hope, right?
Yeah, right. So it's like here, Amazon, but then especially around the holidays, it was a thing. We were taking it out, cutting them, reinserting them, putting them back. Like, what's going on?
It's an elaborate scheme.
Yeah.
When they go through all that work. Yeah.
See about the recent, speaking of like stuff like that, like the recent pharmaceutical thing that they were hacked into. I forget which big company that handles some of the pharmacies, the way they distribute stuff. They were hacked. And then now people are getting delayed their prescriptions and stuff. It's not everybody, but it's a lot of people. Yep.
Wow. Well, that one's new. That one's new.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that one. So I'm doing this actually because I just saw. Like I'm covering my face completely.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Like my mic was in front of my face. I mean, it can be, but not the arm.
Right.
So, okay, do we want to start like?
I thought we were starting. Just is this not the start?
Well, it is. But don't you want to ask me, like, you know, like what led me to this podcast, or should we just start talking about it?
Yeah, no, I'm on your podcast. I'm not. You're not on mine.
No, you had to interview me.
Interview you. Well, okay. Well,
so I thought we would do like a 2 version thing, right?
Okay.
You interview me.
Yeah.
I interview you.
Yeah. Okay.
And kind of we can cut and use that as.
I see that. Yeah. So it's part 1, part 2. Gotta watch both, but yours is on yours and mine is on mine. Is that how it goes? Or do you want to put it on both?
No. I was just no. Yeah. I would say like I would make it like part 1 and part 2. Gotcha. So part 1 is like kind of, you know, hey Demetrius, thank you for coming.
Yeah.
You are my fellow podcaster. I needed somebody to interview me, just to kind of like get going to like why come up with this podcast. But then after that is fellow podcaster.
Right. So who wants to go first? You want to go first?
Yeah.
Are you ready for answers? You ready to give me some answers to this?
I'm ready to give you whatever comes out of my mouth.
That's right. So I'll just ask point blank, and you can insert wherever you want to insert after the fact. But so okay, what I've known that you've wanted to do podcasting for years.
Right.
What made you start wanting to do a podcast now? What brought you to the Attitude Lounge? What made you say, you know what, now's the time I'm actually going to do it?
I think I'm a great believer of doing things at the right time. And sometimes the right time doesn't come along when you want it. Sometimes the right time for me, and I'll speak a little bit about that, comes along when God wants it, because I am a great believer and I feel like I'm here because God wants me here. And when I say here, I mean in life and creating this podcast. But yes, we've been talking about me creating a podcast for, I would say, about 6 years or so. And back then I started doing a lot of like just research and whatnot, but then, you know, life happens and things fell apart a little bit. And I didn't think it was the right time, too busy with other things at work. Since then, lots of things have changed in my life. You know, I've gone through quite a few things, and in particularly, you know, a couple of years ago, I just started getting very sick, and I had to make a transition and make a decision whether I had to retire early. And so I did. I made that decision, and by retiring early, it's allowed me to, you know, giving me some more time for me to work maybe on some things that I enjoy doing. And that came along with just reconnecting with you as well, you know, and knowing all the wonderful things that you've been doing with podcasting, with voiceover, and in particularly when you were ready to teach a course, Podcasting 101. And I said, you know what, I have a wealth of information here with my friend, and this is the time to just start discussing it. And it kind of inspired me just to get moving. And part of the inspiration too is also you conducting a little bit of research, so that you have to be your own cheerleader too, and falling in love with the craft, so that, you know, when you're, you know, looking at equipment, when you're looking at, you know, things that you need to get the podcast going, so that, you know, you're able not to also learn, but to dream. Dream about the many possibilities. I mean, one of the things that we always talk about is, well, I do, that I feel like it's important to always surround yourself with like-minded people, including, you know, people who have your same interests, because that means you have a passion for something that you can both interact with. And I think that's how I got here. At least, you know, one of the reasons. The other reason is, I think there's a lot to be said about life and about enjoying life and about working really hard and balancing your life and doing things that you enjoy and living a life well lived. And so I just thought, what if we start sharing experiences, life experiences about many things. I mean, this podcast is going to have things that are going to be a little, difficult. They might trigger some people if we're talking about grieving, if we're talking about, cancer, illnesses. But it also is going to bring, it's going to talk about, we're going to discuss joy. We're going to discuss side gigs. We're going to discuss, reinventing yourself, people who have done that. We're going to be talking to people who have, thought about creating a nonprofit organization and didn't do it, but now they decided to do it and they go and they launch it. And so I felt like something that we discuss in one of these episodes could resonate with someone and possibly help them, or at the very least, when it resonates with them, allow them to feel that they're not alone in these same life situations, but also allow them to dream that, when something brings somebody down, there's something else waiting at the end of the tunnel that could bring light as well. Basically, we shouldn't be giving up. We should try.
You answered my question. You answered my next question, which was, what is this podcast about? But you did that already. So what I'll do is pivot to another question is, what is, not the Attitude Lounge, but what made you come up with that name?
Yeah. So I'd say probably like 6 months ago or so, I was trying to think of what would I name the podcast. And I thought about naming it, creating something between the word attitude and my name, which is Addie. So what I did was trying to create it a word, but as it would, if you're gonna look it up in the dictionary, it's the way the pronunciation, so the phonics of it. So one of the things that I learned through research, but also with your help, was that when you're trying to create a podcast and a name, you want to make sure that it's searchable, right? So that people can know exactly who they're looking for, exactly where to go and find you and listen. And so utilizing different types of spellings could make it more difficult for folks, utilizing characters and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And so, in just talking to friends and trying to figure out how can I do this, I thought, well, what about just the word attitude? And I had this old sign around that said lounge, and the word, the sign was actually used to be from my mother years ago, and we used it in the house in an area where the family room was. And so I thought, well, what about the Attitude Lounge? Like, I always thought about podcasting about a sense of relaxing and talking and just having a conversation, just like if you were out with friends, having a drink or having dinner or, just having a cup of coffee. And so I thought it should be a place that you shouldn't feel uncomfortable. It should be a place that you can just feel like you're lounging,
Yeah.
So that's kind of where that came from.
No, I love the name. So this will potentially be a place where people can go, judgment-free zone, and
Absolutely.
be able to lounge and sit back and listen to, a variety of topics, like you were saying. What's your favorite place to lounge? Is it at home, with friends somewhere? Where is your lounging, cozy spot that you feel most figuratively at home?
I will say it's home.
Yeah.
I would say it's home, and I've been fortunate enough that I've had a couple of different homes. I've only been here a few years, and prior to that, in my other home, I was there like 18 years. But the one thing that I've always gotten from friends and even family who walked into my house is like, oh, it's so peaceful here. It's so peaceful. And it's because I want it to be peaceful. Your home should be the place where you come, you take your shoes off, you unwind, you sit down, you close your eyes, and you unwind for like, a few minutes when you get home from work or when you get home from anywhere. Sometimes even a vacation, you need to unwind from a vacation.
Yeah, vacation from a vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the saying, right? I need a vacation for the vacation, but yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Before you were talking about being around like friends and, I like to say like a rising tide raises all ships, right? You ever heard that saying where it's like, okay, you got plenty of boats in the sea. So when the sea rises, let's say a rising like a tsunami or something like that, well, you have no choice. All the boats are going to rise together. So when you're around other people, similar mindsets, you kind of all rise together here. So, So I guess my next question would kind of be, do you have current friends, people that you feel close to? What future topics do you feel like we might be seeing kind of later on in the Attitude Lounge?
Well, I do have friends. And one of the things I've learned, I think there's no better way. And I say this for any future podcasters who are also listening to this. There's no better way, I think, for me, at least, to start than to start with friends. And I thought, one thing I didn't mention that I should have is like one of my passions too with podcasting is to be able to give voice to people who may not have a voice elsewhere. And I'm not even saying that in any like kind of category. I'm saying that in general terms. I have seen people get acknowledged for the work that they do in the communities, but I also know lots of people who do wonderful things and do not get acknowledged.
Yeah.
And so I thought, that's something that I also want to tap into. So at first I will be, going, interviewing some friends, some people I know, but I also want to reach out to the community members. And some of those topics are going to be, I have to be very mindful too. But, I mentioned already some of them, but I want to talk about grieving and the grieving process. I want to talk about, cancer. And the reason why cancer is such an important topic is because I'm a cancer survivor of 2 different types of cancers. And so I think people, need to learn that it doesn't necessarily have to be a death sentence. But your health also has a lot to do with how you take it on and how you feel about yourself. And so I am going to also, want to speak about mental health. I want to speak about self-care and how important it is to do the things that you want to do for yourself, so that you balance your life, so that you can do the things that make you happy. I want to talk about joy. How do we find our joy in life? Because that's where the happiness comes from. And I think sometimes that's around us, but we may not know how to tap into it. I come from a background that I showed up at work early. Mm-hmm. I skipped lunches.
Yes, you did.
And I left late. I worked weekends. I want to talk about how unhealthy that is.
Yeah,
I want to talk about how unhealthy that is.
Yes.
And I want to advise people not to do that.
Yeah.
Not to do that. Your health is definitely more important. There's lots of things, that go on, in our daily lives, in our daily routine. And there's lots of things to discuss and lots of things to hear. And no, this podcast, it is not going to be for everyone, but it is a free judgment zone. It is going to be a place that I ask everyone to be, courteous, to be respectful, including the listeners. And I do understand it's not, it's not going to these topics are not going to resonate with everybody. Not everybody's going to want to listen to them, but there are some people that do, and for those people,
welcome.
The Attitude Lounge will be here.
Yes, exactly. So what you're talking about joy, happiness. What are things that make you, what brings joy to you when
technology?
Yeah, yeah. This whole setup here, I like for people that might be just listening to the audio portion of this. She has a couple mics set up here, lights, the whole getup. I can't even describe all the things she has. Cameras, nice chairs. I'm a bigger guy, so I'm in a different chair, but she has a whole setup here. The Attitude Lounges, and I'm super impressed with the leaps and bounds she did to make this really homey for me. Even now, it's not my home, but I feel calm, being here. So I think that's awesome. But what are the things that bring you joy? Really, I know you like watching certain shows, movies.
I do. I mean, I love Marvel movies.
Yeah.
I love Star Wars.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for sci-fi.
Okay.
Not doesn't mean I like all sci-fi, but I do tend to gear towards it. I like action movies too, but in particularly, I love the outdoors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love to be on trails. I love riding my bicycle. I haven't done it in a couple of years, and that's been due to my health. I'm hoping that maybe this summer I can hop on a bicycle finally. But I love the outdoors. I love getting up in the morning, early in the morning at the crack of dawn, because I happen to think that seeing the sunrise is one of the most beautiful things in the world.
Wow. Yeah, I'm trying to think the last time I saw a sunrise. Yeah, because I get up. I'm a morning person too, but I don't get up at
that early.
Oh man. Yeah, no. I like sunsets too, but
Yeah.
Oh wow. So yeah, I mean, those are some of the biggest questions I had. I'm excited to hear, what this is going to be about. I'm going to be your first listener, your first subscriber, to kind of see, just listen to just the episodes you have. I'm interested, so hopefully other people will tune in if they feel like it's for them.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and I'm totally going to appreciate everybody's support. Definitely once I get some of the episodes uploaded, I will have an Instagram account, and through there I'll be, doing some just short reels in regards to the interviews I've done, and anything else that I may think of popping in there, and some of the topics, like heads up on the topics and so forth. So I'm super excited. I'm excited about the social media aspect of it. I'm excited about the recording aspect, the editing aspect, even though we know that the editing is going to be the big one.
Tears.
That's going to be the big one.
Tears.
Yes. So to all the listeners, please be patient with me. Be kind. I am a one-woman show, and yes, this takes a lot of time. So that's one of the things, is that I also love to challenge myself, and I think that's one of the reasons why I took this on. I was like, it's now or never.
Yeah, literally.
It's now or never. And I think I'm a kind of person that, when I do something, I want to try something else next year too. Not that I want to leave this aside, but just learn. I love learning about something new. And even if it's a new hobby, I'm going to pick up a new hobby because I like doing that. And it was fun to do that. So I'm going to do it now, even if I do it for 1 year and then I get tired of it.
Yeah.
But the way I look at it is, life is short.
Yeah.
And I've had some losses, and life is short. And one of the things I've realized is, like, you have to go out there and you have to try and do all the things that you think might make you happy, because you're not going to know until you try them. And do what you need to do to better yourself every year.
Awesome. So that's all I got. Yeah.